Okay, so I'm gonna shoot another video. Welcome back, YouTube. This is gonna be the final series. I did 3 watch videos, and then this is kind of gonna be like sports watches, some divers, and just kind of various watches that I put in these cases. They're not well defined. They're just kind of extra watches that I have. I mean, I have a lot of extra watches, too many extra watches. I have some over there too that are Russian, I think, and some cheap Seiko, probably 5 or 6 or something like that. I'm not going to get those out of the case. They're not worth showing. And even some of these are probably not the most interesting in the world, but I have them, and I thought I'd make a video and show them to you. So let's get started. I will start with. So I'm gonna put my glasses on. Let's start with this one. So this is like a dive watch. Nah, not really a sports watch. So here's one. It's a Seiko 5. A lot of these are Seiko 5s. I like it because it's got a black case, and I think I've only got a couple that are like that have a black case, and I'll show it to you here. You can see it. It's a Seiko 5 Sports. I don't know the names of all these. At one time I knew most of them. Of course, when I bought them, I researched them before I bought them, but I can't keep track of all my watches, so I'm just showing. This is just like a show and tell. I'm not like measuring and telling you what's what, but so this one's got the black and gold dial, and this is pretty attractive. It's got a decent bezel, and it's useful because it only goes one direction, so unidirectional bezel, and then it's very firm, which is nice. It's got a nice action to it. Some are just too hard to turn, and more often than not, some are just way too easy to turn, and that's even worse. I want to knock that over. So this one here, it's a decent one. There's no display back on. Yeah, there is. I spoke too soon. There's a display back, but as you can see, it's nothing fancy. This is a Seiko 4R37, I guess it is, with the complication, the date. I have a lot of these Seikos with 4Rs. I mean, a ton of them. So either 4R35, 4R36, 4R37. I think the standard is 4R36. They add a complication to it, or even 2 complications or whatever, and then the last number changes depending on what the complication is, I guess. Anyway, so here's this watch. It's not too big. It's about a 41, 42. Almost anybody could wear it. It's got a cool. I like the strap I put on it. I got a ton of straps. I could do a video on all my straps. Honestly, I mean, I got hundreds and hundreds of different types of straps, and a lot of the bracelets that I have are just original bracelets that came with Seikos, because a lot of Seikos come with bracelets. And then I bought a lot of leather straps, a lot of NATOs, and all kinds of other in between. So there's that one. And then, so the next one, kind of keeping in line with that, is this one here. And this is an Orient. And this, this watch here is, if you notice, it's been scratched. I've worn it. And it's got the Orient crystal, or at least this Orient crystal, is I think it's softer than a Seiko Hardlex. I think the Seiko Hardlex has some other properties to it, rather than just being a mineral crystal. And I think this is a mineral crystal. And the reason I say that is it just scratched. It's of all my watches, this might be the only one that has a scratched crystal. And it's not scratched because I did something really rough with it. It's just scratched real easy. This watch, I'd probably end up giving this to one of my grandchildren if they want it. It's got a screw down crown. It's not too big. It's about a 39 or 40. You can wind it. You can also automatically shake it, and it has a rotor. Some of these Orients, you see how it's harder to get it to screw back down. And I don't like the small crowns because I got massive fingers, and my wrists are 8, probably, depending if I'm working or not, 8 1/4, up to 8 1/4, I think. So it's a challenge with watches and watch bands. I have to buy the extra large NATOs. The regular NATOs won't wrap on me. I mean, I'm not a huge person, but I guess considering I worked physically hard all my life, but starting when I was a teenager, I just got some dense bones. So anyway, it's a nice blue. It's got, looks like a painted bezel. This watch here doesn't do much for me. I wore it for a while, I liked it, but considering how many watches I have, I probably end up gifting this, or I can't sell it. It's scratched. I wouldn't get nothing for it. I'd rather, if people would be lowballing me if I tried to sell this. Like, say it's worth 150. I don't know that it is, but let's just say it was a $150 watch in the condition that it's in. I would be offered, $60, and I would rather gift it, with a kind gesture than go that route. That's just me. I don't see any value in it. There's another one, another Orient, but it's larger. This one I like a little bit better. It's got the original bracelet, Orient bracelet. How's it open? Like that? No. Yeah. Oh, like that. Okay. So it's a closed back, heavy duty. Epson. I think Epson is the company that owns Orient and Seiko. I think. I thought I read that somewhere. So there you see it. It's an attractive watch, and it's a durable watch. 200 meters water resistance. It winds. It has the bezel turns too easy, way too easy. I mean, look, I can almost free spin it. I mean, and it's got a lot of play. That is its drawback. If it wasn't for the bezel, and I don't know how you could repair that or change that. It's just they couldn't have designed it to be like that. This is the way it came, but they didn't design this watch and then do this and say, oh man, nice and easy. Yeah, this is great. No, this is just a bad watch, and with it for the bezel. I guess you could pop it off and try to see what mechanism is in there. There's some kind of coiled spring or something, and maybe tweak it and get it to be a little harder to turn. But I'm not going to mess with it. Beautiful dial. I do like the color of the flat blue bezel. It's like a coin. It's a coin bezel. I think that's like what they call a coin bezel. But its Achilles heel is it turns so easily. Now, if you're not diving, I mean, it doesn't really matter. But I have some OCD, so I want this thing centered. And if I'm wearing it and it just goes like that, it's driving me nuts. Plus, there's no enjoyment in spinning it. It just spins too easy, like a roulette wheel. Okay, so there's that one. This one is, I don't know why I bought this. I guess I was lured by the silver dial and the blue hands. I mean, it does have some beautiful screw hands. And, you know, it's got a decent bezel. I don't know why a watch like this would need a bezel that moves. It doesn't, it's got some lume, but lume dots. So, you know, the lume is almost non-existent, really. No screw-down crown. It's a very small crown. Another thing, pet peeve. I don't like that. I just don't understand why this particular watch needs this type of bezel. This type of bezel, in my opinion, ruins this watch style. And yet I bought it. But, you know, you buy it online, you haven't seen it yet. If I held it in my hand, I probably wouldn't have bought this watch. And, of course, knowing what I know now, you know, what I really like and dislike in watches. I love the dial. Again, I like the hands, although they're a little clunky, but I do like them. But I cannot understand what the theme of having this bezel. And it adds dimension to the watch. It's already a big case. And then you have this overhang, you know, at the edge there. It overhangs. So, I don't know. You know, display back. Again, it's going to be a 4R36A. So, yeah, I guess the 4R36 is the one with the date. I don't know what the A designates. Anyway, there's that one. I've worn it a couple of times. I've worn this watch more, and I don't know why. It's nothing special about it. But I just, you know, I wore it so much I dirtied the strap, and I had to put a different strap on it. And it, considering how much I did wear it for a while, it was a few years ago. I wore it quite a bit for, you know, a period of time, and even at work sometimes. And, you know, it held up. It's not even scratched. So the thing about this watch is, and this bezel turns too easy. It makes kind of a cool noise, but it spins too easy. Not as bad as the other one, but still. And very little backplay. But I can't get it lined up. Look at it, I missed it again. This is gonna be my last try. There. Okay, so what is it about this watch? The plastic around the indices. It just makes the watch, and the outer ring that's resting on the outer part of the dial, it cheapens the watch. Is it something on there? I don't know if I was welding with this watch. No, if I was welding with this watch, it wouldn't. It could be epoxy. Yeah, so it's the plastic. Just, I can't get over the plastic part. It just, you know, looks like it was made out of something recycled. It looks funky. Like one of those printing machines or something made it, you know. Let me put that over here. I can't get that back in right away. Moving on. Oh, this watch weighs a ton. Oh, man. Look at the dial. It's a deep blue. And just this watch is closed back. Can you see that? I'm not sure if it's showing. Stamped clasp. Oh, there it goes. I'm causing problems. Okay, so this is a cool watch. Got a helium release valve. This watch is rated at 1,000 meters. That's 3,300 feet. Helium safe. So obviously screw down crown. Um, it's just a heavy duty watch. Dive watch. And it has a unique orange color to it. It's got a decent bezel. Now this bezel on it's a little bit better. Still too easy, but it's better. It doesn't have any back play. It does have a scratch on it. I think I scratched it when I wore it once. So the bezel is not it's not a ceramic bezel or even sapphire. It's obviously I'm sure it's like an aluminum bezel. But the watch itself, I mean, it's pretty cool. It's brushed everywhere. I don't see any polishing. It's just a beautiful watch. And it's got some real good heft. I don't normally like really heavy watches. But this one, it's about as heavy as I would want. It just, when you got a watch this big and powerful looking, you got to have some weight to go with it, you know? And that's a deep blue. Here's an Orient version along that similar lines. This is their M Force, and which is a series of their watches. I'm not sure what their M Force is supposed to stand for. Military force, maybe. It's got a power reserve indicator, so when you wind it you can see the needles moving and telling you, and then you screw it down. It's got red on the crown. Now this finally a proper bezel. Oh, the bezel is just perfect on this watch. It lines up perfectly. Kind of a flat orange, and I think that's what you'd want, is a flat orange if you're in the water with this. This is a perfect watch to go swimming with. I mean, you could scuba dive with it, but everybody scuba dives with those computer watches, but this is just a great watch. Like if you're going swimming somewhere, and you could bang this watch around. You could ding it up. It doesn't matter. That's what it's meant for. It's got one little ding there. The crown at 4 o'clock. Beautiful watch. Just an absolutely beautiful watch. But a purposeful watch. It's got one thing. It's designed with one thing in mind, and that is doing something active, whether climbing, hiking, snowboarding, any kind of sport activity, of course, water sports. It's just a cool watch. I would keep that watch. This one, I'm not gonna. It's a Citizen. It's along the same lines as that M-Force. It's a cool watch too. You don't screw down crown, which I don't really care. Screw down crowns if you get to screw them down, they leak. These are at 100 meters without the screw down, and you never forget to have these in. They're always in. So, in my opinion, the screw down crown can be more hazardous. Because there's been plenty of times I didn't have it screwed down. I forgot to screw it down. Like you're setting the time, or you're winding it, or you're doing something like that, and you push it in and you forget about it. And if you do that, you jump in just a pool. You can get water in the watch. It could be rated at 300 meters, you still get water in it. I mean, because the seal's not engaged, the rubber O-ring. So I kind of prefer the ones that aren't, even though it's a cool feature, to have the screw down crown. But this has got good bezel action. But it's a Citizen. Citizen's not my favorite brand. I think Citizen's a Japanese brand, I believe. Major brand. No, it's not a bad watch. It's just I'm not too attracted to the bezel. And then you have this. I have 3 of these in different colors. This is my favorite. This watch has a gorgeous dial, and the color scheme is just beautiful. This just amazing watch as far as looks go. I like the turtle case, the turtle style case. Big fan of the turtles cases. Big fan of turtle cases. It's funny, when I first saw them years ago when I bought my first one, or even before I bought my first one, I thought they were kind of weird looking. Just like I thought the Seiko Monsters were weird as well. And then it kind of grew on me. And then obviously I got some, and then they just wear so well, and they look good on my wrists. I have, like I said, I have big wrists. Turtle cases are generally pretty good size, so they fit me really well, and I just like the look of it. I like seeing the case, and with turtle cases you see the case more, when you're looking straight down, because it's splayed out like that. Now, I don't know if they call this a turtle case, but I call it a turtle case. And then because it's a rather large watch, but because of the way it's designed, where the lugs are, they're very close in. See, so it's the bracelet, or if it was the strap, comes straight down. It doesn't come out and then go down. It comes straight down, so it wears real small. Beautiful watch. I'll show you the other ones real fast. I have it in this color. It's very similar. It's not the exact watch, but the case is the same. But I have it in this black color with the gold hand and the S on the second hand. And then I have it one more example. I have this color, which is really identical. The same series as this. They're identical, except this is flat black and red, and the second hand's a little bit different. Oh no, it's not. I'm sorry. Look at the other one. It's the same. It's just red, whereas this is white. Pretty cool watches. When I bought it, I was really after the red one. I thought the red one was great. I almost didn't buy this, and then it came, and it's grown on me. And this is the only one I would keep. I would happily part with the other ones. Well, not happily, but the black one the black one with the. I might keep the black one because it's got the numbered dial. But this for sure I would keep. And I think that's it for this case. Well, I have one more. I have this one. And again, this is along the same line as this one. Almost the same, yeah. That being, it just, there's no rhyme or reason to have, and it turns both, to have a bezel that rotates, and a big bezel like this, north, south, east, west. You're not going to navigate with this watch. I mean, if it was an emergency, I guess you wouldn't have a choice, but you wouldn't take this navigation. Look, you can turn it both ways. Granted, it's a little stiff, but the fact that you can turn it both ways, I mean, how you bang it against something, if you had it set, it would just move it. So I don't know what the purpose is, but there it is. So that's it for this case. And I'll put these down here. And then I have these. These I should just leave in the, I should raise this up and actually show you this whole case. Let me see if it's in the frame. It is. Ta-da! Okay, so These I have a whole set. So I have these sports watches here. I have the gray, dark gray and light gray, greenish dial with the gold racing stripe, flat blue and white, flat white, I guess it's kind of a white racing stripe. The same thing, black with the white racing stripe here, and then the orange, or the black with the orange racing stripe. This was the hardest one to get. The orange color is always the most difficult one to obtain, that sells out. So I really like these. I have the whole complete set. I have a ton of different straps I can put on them. The bezel doesn't turn, which is a good thing. That's a good thing, isn't it? And the bezel is small. It has numbering on it. It's not necessary, I guess, but let me pull this one out. But nonetheless, it has it. They all have an open display back. There, you can see it there. 4R38. So that's the 4R38, and I'm assuming because of the complication of the open balance wheel. Just a gorgeous watch. They're all beautiful. I love these watches. From this one, you have the blue. You have the blue and is that blue and red. And then the last one being the orange. I think the green and the gold I showed, which is here. So this is the complete set. What can I say about these? The crown is too small. It has a similar. It has the same turtle case as the last watch I showed you, pretty much. So these are like turtle cases in a sense. They wear really well on your wrist. I love the racing stripe. I love the color schemes. Now, if I had to pick a favorite, it really depends on what you're wearing. Honestly, you would say, I thought this was like bland at one point. But you put a nice strap on it, like I did the other day. I put a new strap on it, and it's not. It's a beautiful watch, and I wore that the other day, and if you're wearing something that's orange or yellowish, whatever, that works. I like the blue. I think my least favorite. I don't have a least favorite. I just can't pick one that stands out so much better than the rest. I like them all. And then I have the other ones here. I have the whole set, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these are another style. This was the hardest one to obtain, and I'll show you this one. It's very. All of them are real stiff to turn, which is cool. I don't think that they need a rotating bezel. It doesn't seem like it would be necessary. They don't have screw down crowns, but they're 100 meters, which is over 300 feet. I think what's that, 330 feet. So I mean, you can go swimming with them. There are watches that are rated at 50 meters, and people say, oh, that you could. They're splash proof. But 50 meters is like 165 feet. It's more than splash proof. A swimming pool is 9 feet deep. So you have another additional 156 feet you can go before its rating is met. And I'm sure that's not the maximum. It's probably more. So I think with this, I don't understand why people would assume that that's just you can get it wet, but don't submerge it. So, I mean, if you submerge it and it leaks, then that rating is not, they're lying. They just voided, they should honor the warranty on the watch. They're falsely advertising the watch. Because it doesn't say 50 meters, but you could only splash it. How do you splash it if you're 50 meters down? It's submerged. So anyway, this is a cool watch. I like these. I used to like these more than the other set here, but now I actually like these better. And because I've come around full circle, and I used to think, oh, they all have to have a rotating bezel. And now I look at it with more common sense. It's like the watches that need the rotating bezel are the watches that are designed to time you if you're diving or if you're cooking an egg. If you're having to time something or align something up, if you're like a field watch, if you're out in the field and you're trying to find out where true north is. But rotating bezels on a sports watch, it doesn't, I'm kicking it again. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So, and then I have this original Sun and Moon Orient. It's got this complication with the date wheel or the day wheel, and it's got the sun and the moon, and then it has the date down here. And I really like the dial on this watch. I thought I had sold this, and then recently I found it in one of my boxes. I put it in a box. I was going to sell it, and I never did sell it. I think I was offered something for it, but I just decided not to. I don't know what happened. I didn't sell it. I probably had it on eBay. And, well, eBay's turned into, eBay's weird. eBay is just, eBay is like what MySpace is to social media. It's on its way out, I think. I mean, eBay's right for a competitor to come in and just swoop in and just take their business. I mean, I have some things listed on eBay that I haven't sold, and they're still charging me money, like 15 cents a month or something on each item. They just come up with these, and that didn't used to happen. They just come up with this stuff, you know. They're just trying to hold on, and they're trying, and you know, they're, in my opinion, they're fleecing everybody. They really are. If you've sold on eBay, have an account with them, and did any transactions with them, I'm sure you're going to have some type of negative story about eBay. I mean, what's the percentage of dissatisfied customers? It's got to be to the roof. So anyway, enough about eBay. And then the last watch is the Bulova, and it's not Bulova, it's Bulova. I know that. I just know that. So people call it Bulova. It reminds me of bologna. You know, like you're full of baloney. This you're full of baloney if you think it's called Bulova. I'm just kidding now, but it's Bulova. And if you can Google commercials from the 70s and 60s, they're on actually YouTube. And the advertisement for these watches, they call them Bulovas. I remember buying, I bought my first Bulova, I was probably 19. Yeah, and I'm no spring chicken. So I never heard it called Bulova until YouTube. I mean, yeah, if I didn't know and I saw it, I'd be like, I probably wouldn't come up with Bulova either. I'd be like, Bulova, Bola. But it's Bulova, if you want to know about it, if you care. It's got some scratches on it. So here's my second crystal that's scratched. It's got to be a mineral crystal. Beautiful blue hands, automatic. This is a cool watch. I'm not tied to this watch. It's thin. It's very thin. I'll keep this watch. I think this is snake skin. Yeah, I'll keep this watch just simply for the fact that Bulova has I got a soft spot for Bulova going back many years. But there's that. And there's just one more case, and I showed you some of these watches in another video, but here's a bottle cap from Seiko. I believe it comes in a few different finishes. Beautiful rotating bezel. This is the way bezels are supposed to be. Hardly any back play. Brown dial. I like brown dial watches. No screw down crown. 100 meters. Plenty of lume. You really could use this watch as a dive watch. You could use this watch as for swimming, for whatever. It's got lug to lug. It's very small, although it's a big round watch. It's kind of on the theme of the tunas, in a sense. I know it's not, but just this round, bare naked look to it. It's the complete opposite of a turtle. So it's a strange looking watch. It's not too tall. It's tall because I have this thick fabric NATO that's doubled up behind it, and that really raises it. But otherwise, the watch itself is not too thick. Probably 14 millimeters. It's a cool watch. I wear this occasionally. I don't see any scratches on it, so I don't do anything rough with it. I don't do anything rough with almost all of my watches. I got one or two that I'll beat up. But for the most part, if I have any respect, or if I like the watch in any shape or form, I don't scratch them. It blows my mind that you'll see like Rolexes and other models of watches that are 5, 6, and 8 years old, and they're just beat to crap. I guess if you have the money, you don't really care, but I just don't want to see them all get dinged up. Like I said, if I wear one for work, it's going to be one that I don't care. I don't want it to get all messed up. If I'm doing something really rough, I'll take it off. But overall, if it gets a few dings here and there, it's like, that's okay. My main concern is I don't care the watch gets banged around. What bothers me the most is when the crystal starts getting messed up. Because just like your phone, if your display is cracked or severely scratched, and usually with phones it's going to be cracked because it's so hard it doesn't scratch, but it becomes, you don't even want to look at it. You just don't want to look at it anymore. And if the case is scratched up, it's like, who cares? But when you look at your watch in everyday use, you're not sitting there and just going like, oh, look at this, You're just looking down at the dial. So having a clear dial is important. So there's my opinion on it. That's my opinion. So I like brown watches. If you saw my other videos, you saw plenty of them. And so I really like them. And this one is just gorgeous. So it's got a rotating bezel here, which It's just kind of a novelty again. I think this would be classified as a field watch because it's a compass. It's not a compass, but I mean it's marked out like a compass. The inside bezel. This doesn't rotate, but this does. But this should lock down. That's the only thing. If this locked down, it would be more useful or more trustworthy. Because, like, say you have it set here, and then you're hiking, you're going through brush or whatever, or climbing some rocks, and it just goes, and you're trying to use this to track your movement, and this happens. Doesn't seem like much, but say over a period of 3 miles, that's a lot. I don't know. So that's the only thing I think this should lock down. Maybe I'd bend over here and lock it down. Well, maybe over here, somewhere where this makes sense because you can get to it. Maybe this should have been up here. I don't know. Now I'm designing them. But it's just it's a very attractive watch. I really like this watch, and I like the leather that I have it on. It's polished on the sides. It's a very attractive bezel, even though it doesn't rotate. It's not necessary. Although this is a type of watch that could have had a rotating bezel because of the compass action, but they chose to put it on an inner rotating bezel. It's relatively thin. Beautiful watch, and I've worn that watch. Some of the other ones here, I have more here that I've showed you these before. The only one I didn't show you, I've worn this extensively, and it doesn't really show any signs of it. I wore this a lot for a period of time. It's just there's nothing fancy about this watch, but no screw down crown. I was going to say screw down crown. I like the dial. It has that old-fashioned look. Like it has the look like it looks like it's got faded in the sun over time, but you know that kind of that look, almost like a cream yellowish color. And the depth, the dial is so far down from this bezel, with the high ring on the inner bezel there, the inner, whatever you call that inner ring. It reminds me of a Marine Master. And I know it's not, but it does remind me of a Marine Master or an SKX. This might be an SKX case. It's probably an SKX case. But it's a cool watch. You know, I'm not a fan of this is comfortable, but it's the bracelet, but it looks a bit feminine to me. So anyway, that's that. There's only a few more because I showed these other ones in another video. I'll just take this whole drawer out, put it here. I have this. This is another watch. I like this one. I showed you when it was similar to this with the plastic around the indices, but this is black with orange. This is the Dracula watch, I guess you could call it. Kind of cool. But would I sell it or get rid of it? Yeah. Here's a little Seiko that's supposed to be like a mini Rolex or something. I don't know. I forget what they compared it to. It's just a funky little watch. A woman could wear that watch. It's so small. And then this is an old Timex with the TV front, and this is an automatic, and it's still working. Kind of cool. Harking back to the old days when they were real small. And here's one that's even smaller. And this is another Bulova, and this one has the second hand there, and this one works. And look it's got a mechanical movement inside, and look at that. So you can see the press cases there, and this watch is still working. It's, you know, I would never wear it, but kind of cool. And there's my son Kevin. And then I have this one. This one's a Timex automatic. You never see Timexes. They're almost always quartz watches. That's what they're known for. But it's got the beautiful blued hands. Not the real blued, but it's blued nonetheless. 24-hour complication on top. It's got a power reserve. Beautiful dial. It's just a cool watch. I really like it. I got it on the bracelet that came with it. I'll have to leave it on that, or I will leave it on that. It's a big watch. It's a thick watch too. But you know, I can wear that one. So here's another one. I wore this extensively. Now let's look for scratches. I wore this at work a lot. It's an Orient, and yeah, it does have a few scratches up on top here. I honestly do not know why I like this watch so much, but it has a screw down crown. You can't wind it. It's just an automatic. But it does have a screw down crown. You know, it's always weird how, you know, they put screw down crowns on some, they don't put it on others. Like, you know, this is just an automatic movement, no manual wind. It still has got a screw down crown, but it's only 100 meters. And there's a plethora of watches out there without screw down crowns that are rated at 100 meters. And yet this one has a screw down crown. And this screw down crown is at, I'll show it to you, 330. How often do you see that? It's at 330. They split the difference between 3 and 4. Again, I kicked it. They split the difference between 3 and 4. They don't ask me why, but they did. So it's got the day of the week, 24 hour, the date, completely brushed. I like the strap I put on there. It's just an overall cool watch. Here's another one of the, going like the Dracula one, yellow with the, you know, I don't like these watches because of the plastic, and yet I have 3 of them. Talk about just out of control spending on watches. You know, years ago, I pretty much have stopped at this point. Once in a blue moon, I'll buy a watch, but rarely. I mostly am getting rid of my watches. So, yeah, it's an interesting watch. It's got the, you know, the compass style bezel. These watches are really expensive now, limited edition, but for years they were available. So I was always wondering, like, if it's a limited edition, how could they sell it for 5 or 6 years straight? I mean, how limited is it? And I bought this one, and they were cheap. It was $100 and something. Excuse me. I seen it for, like, if I'm not mistaken, $350 to $5. Crazy. Rotating bezel. It's got some back play. Oh, I have a prime rib in the oven. It's gonna be a good dinner tonight. It's just got this beautiful dial, the Sunray dial. I think I have a dress watch with the same exact dial, and it's a beautiful Seiko dress watch. And they put the same dial on this watch. This is a sports watch. Whenever I saw this watch advertised, it was like always in the snow. So I don't know if that's what the theme is, if it's a ski watch, but that's just how I saw it advertised. 'Cause. 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 white wouldn't be a good choice for in the snow. Oh well. But I like these dials. I'm just surprised that this sports watch is, that I saw it on my dress watch. It's the same dial. The indices are, applied indices are a little bit different. They might be the same shape, perhaps, but they're, you know, they're not. I think the other ones are like a rose gold on the dress watch. It's got an interesting bezel. I don't know what you call that, but I'm sure there's a name for that pattern. Brushed case, cool watch. And then I have this one. And this is I think it's Chinese. Pagani. Now somebody's going to say, it's not Pagani, Mr. Boulevard. Pagani Design Automatic. Screw down crown. Winds really well. It's got the open dials cut out for the balance wheel. It has, how do you open this thing? This, oh, it's got actually a pretty nice display back. Honestly, I mean, can you see that? Is it focusing? I could use a different, can you put a different, you could put a different strap on it. It's the second watch that I own that, yeah, you put a different strap on it. It's the second watch that I own that's black. All, you know, black case. Can you see the display back? Pretty nice. You know, cheaper watch, but it's accurate. It's got, look at the second hand. It's pretty cool. It's actually pretty well made. It's got some good heft. It's pretty well made. I mean, the clasp is nothing fancy, but it's like a Seiko in a sense, like many Seikos. So there it is. I had some really high-end watches that I had to sell some years ago, and I regret selling some of those. I wish I had some of those back, but I had to sell them. They were worth a lot of money, and I needed the money at the time. And you know, looking them up now, they're worth a heck of a lot more. But you know, it is what it is. If you have to sell it, you have to sell it. I probably will not replace those watches simply because the price is so high. And you know, I owned them at one time, and I remember when I owned the watches, I would look at them occasionally. You know, it's not like I got all misty-eyed over them. I'd look at them and I'm like, okay, ho hum, you know, like that. And then when you don't have them, you're like, oh, they were cool, they were special, they were, you know, this and that. It's always when you don't have something, you want it, and then you get it and you look. Like, watches are, if you guys collect watches, you know what I'm talking about. You want something so bad, and then you finally get it, and then you're kind of awestruck for just a little period of time. And then it just kind of wears off, and you put it away. And if you're collecting, you don't want to scratch it, so you don't wear it that much. And if you do, it's only like for light duty stuff. And the other thing is, people always say they put a watch on and it gets a lot of attention. People notice a certain watch on your wrist and say, oh, what's that? That's only happened to me maybe 3 times. That never happens. And it's not because it's covered up, it could be exposed, but rarely does anybody look at my watch and say, oh my God, you know, like, I mean, I've gotten a few comments like, "Oh, that's a nice looking watch," or something like, "Oh, that looks nice," but they're not any more curious than that. I just the watches are special just for yourself and to share them with like-minded people. But the general public, that I find, they don't care. They don't. And some of the fancier watches look kind of strange anyway to people, because if you're not a watch fanatic or collector, or if you don't have a lot of watch knowledge, you don't know what you're looking at. You'll just go down to Macy's or some store, and you'll see all underneath the glass and with beautiful lighting, you'll see these flashy watches, and you'll think that they're great, and they could just be cheap quartz watches. Most people just, I mean, they're buying those Christopher, what do they call it? Christopher something watches. You know what I'm talking about. A lot of the Novu brand type of, the novelty watch, not novelty, but the kind of watches that you buy, that you sell. You see a lot of YouTubers will be selling, like especially the YouTubers that do those gentleman style videos, what clothes to wear, how to do your hair, how to keep yourself trimmed. And then they'll promote a watch that, if you're a watch guy, is just kind of a crappy watch, but it looks nice. And a quartz watch is very thin, so it works well with a suit. But it's definitely like not anything special, it just, and that's fine, but some of the prices that they charge for these things, and they're just whipping them out, and they're not costing them hardly anything to make. On the other hand, mechanical watches, there's a little bit more involved in them, even though they are mass produced, a lot of them, and the ones that are not, are you going to really pay for. But I think most of it comes from what you think about it. But having owned a lot of, in my opinion, expensive watches that were hard to obtain, excuse me, and just so many. Like, if you look at my videos now, I think I just showed you between 4 videos, well over 120 watches. I'm kind of over it, and it was a big thrill for a number of years doing it, and now I just look at them and it's like, now what do I do with them? Am I happy I got into the hobby and learned about it and spent a lot of hours of my free time involved in it? Certainly I am. Anything that increases my knowledge and that is spent learning about something, to me, it has value. I went most of my life ignorant about watches and watchmaking and all that stuff. So I'm glad that my eyes were open to it. And the only reason it was because I got interested in it, and I credit YouTube with that. But it could be an expensive hobby. It is an expensive hobby, and there's diminishing returns after a while. You can see what I have here. One watch looks like another watch, which looks like another watch. And at the end of the day, what do you really need? You just need a handful. And one box of watches is really more than you need. Maybe 2, if you really just want to take them all out at times and look at them all. But beyond that, I think it just gets excessive. I have 2 sets of 5 of the same style watch. Do I wear them all? No, of course not. Do I wear one? Hardly ever. Will I wear one occasionally? Yeah. Do I like to have choices? It's fun. But if I didn't have the choice, I would just pick up the one I had, because I wouldn't have the choice. Sometimes having the choice makes it more difficult. So I don't know. And in closing, Just keep that in mind when you're collecting. Um, I've I've gone excessive with all my collecting. I think I own a little over 100 pairs of sunglasses, and while they're all beautiful, and I think that they're like artwork, it, it's over 100 pairs of sunglasses that I have, and each pair was minimum $100, but more of them were in the $200 to $300 range. Times 100, or times, say 80 of them were. I've got $30,000 worth of sunglasses. Not to mention the display cases and all that stuff I had over the years. That I had them in. So, and it was fun. They look great in the display cases. And it's very unusual to walk into somebody's home and see a big, beautiful lit display case of sunglasses. I've never seen that. There are people that collect them, but I've never. I'll have to tell you, sunglasses look better in a case, a lighted case, than watches do. The sunglasses just pop. Something about the sunglass, the color, the style, the lens, the different types, the fact that the light goes through them, whereas on a watch it reflects off. They just look fabulous in a display case. Just go to your local sunglass hut, or one of those stores where they have them in those cases, and you'll see. I mean, I had them in some nice cases where just you could color the lighting and really just get it just perfect. So in closing, okay, well, thanks for watching the video. I do this as a hobby. I'm new at it. I'm not that good at it, and you can tell I'm not that good at it. But I enjoy it. I think I have 80 subscribers, and that number comes and goes. I'll get more subscribers if I get some interesting content going, and I have some plans for that. But I'm not really so much interested in a lot of subscribers. I'm interested in doing this as a hobby, and the initial investment to get this YouTube thing up and running was a couple $1,000s for me. Because I bought it was a few $1,000s. Well, it was about $4,000. Because I did buy a computer to help me do a really good. I didn't buy a computer. I bought the parts and built a computer, separate from my business computer, which I started with. So I bought a dedicated computer for content creation, and I'm glad I did. And that's a hobby in itself, because I used to build computers. Well, I still do when I need one. I build one. Because I'm a hobbyist. I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I don't hire out. I mean, I hire out more now than I used to. I don't do my own oil changes. I don't do some of the yard work anymore. I don't wash my car anymore. That kind of stuff. But I grew up where you just did everything yourself. Excuse me. And the men in my family, at least most of the men in my family, were hobbyists. And as a kid growing up, I saw that. And I hung out with them, especially my grandfather. And it just got instilled in me. And I grew up in the 70s, 60s and 70s, and you just fixed everything yourself. You just really with just basic tools, and you just did everything yourself. And that served me well. It really has. It's a shame that you see people nowadays and they can barely screw in a light bulb. It is what it is. But the one thing about being in my family and being the guy that can fix anything is the phone rings off the hook sometimes. Oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Oh, you know so much about computers, Tom. You know so much about cars. How do you just know all this stuff? I don't just know it. I spent years toiling away, learning about it. So, and the only reason I do know that stuff is because I had a passion for it in the first place. Like playing a musical instrument, whatever it might be. You won't get good or learn anything if you don't like doing it. It could be your job, it could be anything. If you don't like doing it, you'll never excel. But if you love to do it and you wake up and you can't wait to do it and you dream about it, you're going to excel. You are going to get to the pinnacle of what your abilities are, your potential is in whatever it is that you're doing, whatever endeavor it is. If you're putting 100% into it, and even that's not enough, and that's how I get, and that's why I have so many watches and so many sunglasses. You know, I didn't collect when I was younger because I was building and doing stuff, but I'm older now, and collecting is just, it doesn't require you know, I don't get my hands dirty. I'm not physically worn out. I also build guitar amps, tube guitar amps. Well, actually, I'm not doing that anymore, but I have a whole storage shed full of those things. And try selling those, you know, again. I've got tens of thousands of dollars in tubes and all kinds of related equipment, tools for that. So it just goes on and on. So anyway, I like getting back to it. I like doing the YouTube thing because it gives me an outlet. I'm starting from the ground and I'm going up. So I don't know anything about editing, creating content, filming, adding special effects, manipulating audio, you know, music, sound, how to incorporate those things together, lighting, all that stuff. I don't know anything about it. And so this is the part, I'm at the beginning of it and I really like it because I'm wanting to learn it. And there's nothing more exciting than not knowing something but wanting so bad to learn it. And by having the internet at my disposal, it's just right, it's at my fingertips. And so I'll continue to get better at it. And if I don't, it means that I'm not interested in doing it anymore. But I'm going to get better at it. I'm not going to become a professional. It's a hobby. But I want to make things that are entertaining and have some value. That's what I want to do. I want to create something that I'm proud of and that people will look at and say, oh, it's entertaining or it has value. And because it's satisfying. And at the end of the day, we all want to feel the satisfaction from what we do, from whatever we accomplish or whatever we're involved in. Everybody wants to be at least recognized a little bit and looked at as providing some value, and no matter what it might be. So again, I'm going to go now because I'm opining. I'm going off on a tangent, and I probably lost everybody. So again, if you like it, my videos, like or hit the like button and subscribe. And then I don't have any more watch videos, but I do have a few up already, and I'm going to be doing some other content. I haven't found like my avenue where I'm just going to specialize, so I'm all over the place, and but that's okay. You know, that's just how you start out. You know, at least that's how I'm starting out. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.